Hello there and welcome back to another review. So talk about films that are a blast from the past and films that were sort of part of my childhood. I thought today we'd have a look at 1992's Three Ninjas, which is very much a film of the time. It's just early 90s written all over it. Directed by John Turteltaub, I think is how you say his name. His other credits include The Meg, National Treasure, and I believe he done Cool Runnings. I could be mistaken on that, but I think he had something to do or directed Cool Runnings. Now, being a kid around this time, this movie was sort of everything you wanted from an early 90s movie. You had sort of the Home Alone antics crossed with ninja and martial arts, and that to me was just a perfect winning combination. Turtles were still big at the time, Ninja Turtles. As I say, Home Alone was a big box office success, and this film is sort of a hybrid of them two things just put into a movie, and it's a stroke of genius really on the filmmaker's parts. And proving what a nerd I am, Three Ninjas Kick Back is actually my favourite of the Three Ninja movies, where they go to Japan, and probably because like as a kid in my fantasy state I was like, how cool would it be to be that age and no ninja and go to Japan and go on this adventure. And again, that's like the 6 or 7 year old in me talking, but I actually have a bit of a soft spot for this film as well. But Three Ninjas Kick Back I really did enjoy. We have Victor Wong here as the boy's grandpa, who has been in numerous films. He was in John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. He was in Golden Child with Eddie Murphy as well. He's been in loads and loads of films. But Three Ninjas are now, I think nowadays it does have sort of a cult following, this movie. Didn't get as big as sort of Home Alone did. I think that's sort of what they were aiming for with this. And whilst not as classic as that, the film is definitely aimed, I think it's definitely aimed more at young boys of the time, this movie. It just reeks of early 90s. Like I said, it's just the early 90s written all over it. Like they know martial arts. We get the 90s one-liners. We have the backward baseball caps. We have Nintendo. It's all in there. It's one of them movies that when it came out, it was like, of course they're going to make a movie about Ninja Kids. Of course they're going to make a movie about Ninja Kid. It just feels the right time. Ninja Turtles, Home Alone, doing pranks and tricks on robbers and burglars. That was the thing to do. There were other sequels to Three Ninjas as well as Kick Back. There was Three Ninjas Knuckle Up and Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain with Hulk Hogan. And the less said about the last two, the better. They're not very good. I think this film and Kick Back are not too bad as kids' movies. I think they're okay. I think this one and Kick Back have probably the most charm and fun factor to them. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's corny. Yes, if you are over the age of 10 or 12, you'll probably find it all these things. But at the time, Three Ninjas was a movie that was, very much getting into what is hot in the early 90s. That's sort of what Three Ninjas sort of was doing. I will try and go through all the Three Ninja movies if there's a calling for it. I think the film is, because obviously this is overshadowed a bit by Home Alone in terms of that sort of, kids versus sort of home invaders type of thing. But I think, to most people, I think it's sort of forgotten about sometimes. But if you were there in the early 90s and remember this movie, then by all means leave a comment below. Because it'd be great to hear from other people that do remember this movie, that have a soft spot for this movie, or just saw it at the cinema, or whatever it may be. Is it perfect? No. Is it classic? Of course it's not. But what you got here, as I mentioned, is a film that is very much of the time. That doesn't hold up as well as Home Alone does, but it's just, you got the ninja, you got the pranks, you got the early 90s stuff, you got Nintendo, you got the backward hats. It's all going on. So now, for review purposes with this, I will be reviewing the international version, which is much longer. It's a much longer cut of the movie. Compared to what was originally released, I believe, in US theatres. I think they originally come in around 84 minutes, and I think the version I'm looking at here today clocks in around. I think it's just under 100 minutes, about 96, 97 minutes. Around there. So this version is a tiny bit longer. The cuts are largely due to sort of things like violence and things like that, So we meet these three boys who are training to be ninjas at their grandfather's cabin, played by Victor Wong. And what is interesting is the three kids are given an open monologue and talking to us, the audience, which, they're actually talking to us. As I say, if you was into martial arts and loved Home Alone, then this movie would have been right up your alley. We meet Michael, Jeffrey and Samuel Douglas, and I have to love how they are throwing real ninja stars at their own grandfather as well. I mean, okay, they're trained, they've got their ninja training under their belt, but even still, accidents do happen. But yeah, they're throwing real ninja stars at their grandpa. I mean, it could take his eye out. Lots of shots from the back in their ninja clothes, so obviously loads of doubles used here. Kind of reminds me of sort of Yun Su Tin, Simon Yun in Drunken Master, where the up close shot's definitely him, but when it's up close, it's funny how his body's a little bit different, and that's sort of what they have going on here with Victor Wong. Is it seems odd, all these flips and flamboyant moves. When he's doing something exuberant, it's always from the back, So they're all like training exercise. Their grandfather throws like a smoke bomb and goes into this tree. Though I have no idea how he gets there, as this thing is about 30 feet up, and then he throws this smoke pellet. It does like a Batman thing. Throws this smoke pellet. Suddenly he's in this tree, but he's about 30 feet in the air, and God knows how he got there, and also how the hell did he get down? He gives them all ninja names: Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum. So just so you know, Colt is like the hot-headed one. He was always my favourite. He's sort of like the Raphael of the three ninjas, if you could say that. Tum Tum's sort of like the Michelangelo. As I say, so Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum. So naturally their dad Sam, this, again, talk about plot conveniences. Their dad Sam works for the FBI, and he's setting up a sting operation for this villain Schneider, played by Kingsley, I believe is his name. I don't know what else he's actually been in. Maybe some of you could let me know, but I'm not sure if his filmography is very large, but I just remember him as Schneider in this movie. Of course he has to have a ponytail. Of course he wants to buy dangerous weapons and missiles. So their dad's like an FBI agent. They try to get him with one of the FBI pretended to be like an Arab salesman. Schneider gets his ninjas on him, and he escapes super cop style, hanging onto a helicopter. And for some reason Schneider knows everything about their dad, like that he's married to Mori Takanawa's daughter, boy's grandfather. The boy's grandfather. I mean, it's like, Lethal Weapon, like they always seem to know loads about Murtaugh. It's like here Schneider just knows everything about Sam, like he knows everything about him. So Schneider turns up at Tanaka's place complete with ninjas. I do love how the music on this scene is actually quite intense and not overly kid-friendly. Like, they do put quite a menacing score here. Well, at least, I mean, for some of it. I mean, it's intense. It's not sort of... It's a kids' movie. We're having a good time. They do make some effort here with the soundtrack. So him and Mori used to be business partners, and that's sort of all we ever know. We sort of like, they don't embellish on sort of he was his student, or they trained together, or they were at the same dojo, or anything like that. We just get they were business partners. That's all we ever really know as an audience. So Schneider actually reminds me of Kiko Loureiro from Megadeth. He actually sort of has that look of him for some weird reason. Schneider's like, tell Sam to leave me alone. That's all he's going there for. He just wants Sam Douglas to like leave him alone. He's really over the top. I mean, think like Terry Silver from sort of Karate Kid 3, and you sort of got the right idea for sort of what Schneider's doing. He's into missiles. He knows martial arts. You know the kind of villain you're gonna get. So if you think Terry Silver, you're sort of in the right place. He plays it well though, and he really does ham it up. He's really over the top. So he offers Mori cash and says, if you don't, I will rip out your heart. So after this, Grandpa's like a doll that lights up every time the boys hit it, like a vital area, which basically messes the enemy up. Like, he's got like this doll, every time they hit it, these eyes bulbs just sort of flash. I love when they're explaining their new names to their mum and dad. Like, when they explain their new names to their mum and dad, Cole is like, he is Tum Tum because he will eat anything. And Tum Tum's like, yeah, I won't eat dog poop, which I always thought was a funny line. I thought that was quite funny. So they return home after the summer. Their mum is like, you're going to be great. And Colt is like, yeah, whatever. He just don't care. And like I say, he's pretty much the Raphael. And I think me and my friend watched this loads of time, and we just love Colt for some reason. We just thought he was so cool in the movie. So he's sort of the hot-headed one. He doesn't, you know, he's got a bit of an attitude on him. He's always ready to fight. And they do give each one of the boys distinct personalities. As I say, you got sort of a Michelangelo, a Raphael, and sort of a Leonardo going here. You don't have any Donnie, unfortunately, but they do sort of channel them. They do take a sort of three of the Ninja Turtles, sort of their personality and some of their traits, and inject them here. So now Schneider wants the kids as insurance, right? Now he's gone from one thing to now he wants the kids as insurance, or he will squeeze his assistant's head until like ooze comes out, I think he says at one point. Ooze comes out of his eyeballs, I think he says. And wants to get outside help to pinch the kids. So now we have like child abduction thrown into the mix as well. It's like Home Alone. If you look at it in a certain light, it's a really dark movie, like with what's happening. Same here. We've got child abduction happening. So one of them It's one of them films when you remove the surface layer, like I say, like Home Alone. It's something very unsettling, something very unsettling and creepy about the motives behind these characters and their actions. So what does he do? Like with all these films, he goes for dumb surfer dudes, right, led by Fester. And I love at one point he's like, "Don't screw this up, or he will have to kill you." And the reaction is just bummer. You know, they just get the most incapable people that are definitely not up for the job, but they get these surf dudes. Bearing in mind the guys like dealing missiles as well. I know I was always jealous as well with how the boys had like a mum alert in their room, like a warning light whenever someone was coming up the stairs, which at the time I thought that was so awesome, like to have this sort of warning light in your bedroom. We see Tum Tum playing, I think he's playing Mario Brothers 3. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, it is Mario Brothers 3. And yeah, just always thought their room in this was so cool. You know, watching it again recently, it's funny how you sometimes watch a film and it takes you back to that time or that moment when you watched it. And Three Ninjas is, like I say, it really does take me back to sort of 91, 92-ish. I have to love how Fester on the front of his van has the slogan "Die Yuppie Scum" as well, which I thought that was quite hilarious. Again, you know, just doing a child kidnapping. So Emily, Rocky's wannabe girlfriend, gets hassled by the local bullies and they take her bike. Rocky and Colt challenge them to basketball. And I wish my playground days could have been like that. You know, owning bullies, get the girl. But at the time, I was probably more concerned with like playing Contra or something like that. I don't know. But I definitely was not the kind of like playground, you know, sort of days that I sort of had. I mean, there's no teachers about here at all at this school. Again, just so 90s. So Colt finds a photo of Snyder with Grandpa in his dad's office, with their grandpa. Straight away, they doubt their grandfather, some, you know, thinking the two are in league together. Just because he sees a photo, they doubt their grandfather straight away. Colt especially is like, no, he's one of them. Like, he really, like, he's given up on his grandfather completely. So the crooks break in, and Colt and Rocky is like they're carrying guns. But if we take them on, then Dad will see that our ninja training has been worth it. And this is when the movie goes completely Home Alone, right? It goes completely. All it is, this guy wants this other guy to back off because he works for the FBI. He's told like his father-in-law to tell him to leave me alone. Well, I'll take the kids just as insurance. That's all that's happened in the movie. And I say then it goes completely Home Alone. We get setting traps, we get throwing CDs, we get oil on the floor. And it's worth noting too that whilst all this is going on, you forget completely about the whole Maury and Slade Schneider affair. Like, that completely goes out the window. So for some reason, the kids have some sort of laxatives lying around for whatever reason. They've got some laxatives there. No idea why. They put it in a cup with some drink. And for another reason, for whatever reason, these guys can't stop drinking this drink. Like, they're so thirsty for some reason. I have no idea why. They can't get enough of it. Fester finds a tin can that Rocky uses at night to talk to Emily and sort of lures her over. And they basically take her hostage and with a gun to her head as well, I might add. The kids beat one of the guys up as he is taking a dump. Mr. Brown, Snyder's right-hand man, turns up with some henchmen and takes the kids. And if you watch this film, if you watch this scene, I love how Emily goes to the boy's mum, like, afterwards. Like, the police outside with what's happened, the boys have been taken. And Emily, like, she comes up, approaches, like, their mum. It's like, she's like, not now, Emily, right? She just completely brushes her off. Bearing in mind, Emily went through the ordeal too and did have a gun to her head as well, right? She's not like, oh, are you okay? You know, I'm pleased you're safe, if nothing else. Like, the boy's mum couldn't care less about Emily. She's just like, not now. Emily just like 2 seconds ago had a gun to her head. And Emily's parents are nowhere to be seen for whatever reason. Emily must just have a house on her own. So their grandpa turns up in his ninja get-up and tells them about this boat in the harbour. Again, all we know is Snyder and him used to be business partners. That's all we know. They know it was Snyder that took the boys and it just comes down to this boat. Sam gives Maury 1 hour to sort of go and get the boys, bring them home. And the boys are taken to this ship where they learn that Grandpa was basically Schneider's teacher. So we knew we was going to get the whole teacher-student. We knew that was going to go on. You know, the whole student gone rogue thing. Maury is sneaking in, all sort of Solid-y Snake vibes, sort of Metal Gear Solid 2. And I love how Colt, like I say, doubts his grandpa right away. He sold us out, he says. Like, Colt he's given up on his grandpa completely. They think they are trapped, but it turns out they have a phone in their cell, which they use to play a trick on the guards. I'm not sure why they couldn't use it for other purposes, but they use it. Then it goes all under siege. For some reason, too, all of Schneider's ninja goons have like goggles. They haven't just, they got like ninja get up, they got like ninja outfits on, but they've got like goggles as well for some reason. No idea. This is where in the movie we probably have the closest to what you would call actual fight scenes, and I believe this is where, I think the ending is where a lot of the cuts did happen in the shorter version. I think this is where the majority of the cuts did take place, because there's quite a lot of weapon work that takes place here. The fights are nothing mind-blowing, it's just like Ninja Turtle movies, but it's even still, they still are using weapons, and as I say, it's the closest we probably get to sort of quote-unquote a fight scene. I say they use like tools as weapons and nunchucks. They meet like this scary ghost swordsman at one point, who they sort of like blast with steam. They really should remake this movie, but aim it more towards adults. That would be quite cool if they made it a bit more grown up and had the like proper real fight scenes. I think that would be quite awesome. The thing is, all the peril is sucked out of the scene with this ghost swordsman. They run around and all these ninjas, they sort of run around the ship, because the whole time, see this, they could have made this like a really like tense, like almost thriller-esque type scene with them trying to get off this boat, having to fight different ninjas. They could have almost made it like sort of Game of Deathy, like fighting different ninjas on different levels. But what ruins it is we get this really sort of light-hearted musical score playing the whole time, so it just sucks you out of the moment completely, which is unfortunate. At the same time, we see Mori throw a knife right into one of the guards. Like I mentioned, we have the one-liners, the high fives, and to be honest, the film pretty much is Home Alone crossed with like Turtles 2 and 3, I'd say, in terms of sort of its tone. Then they have to take on like Professor Tanaka, who I always remember playing Sub-Zero in Running Man. I don't know if any of you love that movie. I love that movie with Schwarzenegger, based on Stephen King's book, but I absolutely love that. Definitely an old school Saturday night movie, but I remember this guy playing Sub-Zero in the Running Man. Mori agrees to fight Schneider, as he like sort of wants him to like teach his men, but I thought the thing is, he goes from wanting Sam to back off, then he had the kids kidnapped, now he wants Mori to teach his men. I was like, Schneider, what do you want? Like, what do you actually want, right? Now he mentioned he wants Mori to teach. I'm not really sure what the guy's plans are, and even if he's actually thought them through, I don't think he's thought them through completely. So Schneider uses like a pepper bomb in their fight. We get the classic "no" from Rocky. You have to have one at a slow motion "no." Their grandpa gets beat, then he's able to win by pouring some jelly beans down Schneider's throat. Again, could have made it really dramatic, could have had a really awesome fight scene here, but they have to go to the comedic route, because it's a kids' film, it's a family-friendly film, you've got to keep it light in tone. So suddenly the boy's dad and the FBI turn up. Then in the scene at the end, Rocky beats out the kid who stole their bikes, and the ninjas and Emily just ride off into the sunset. And listen to the end song to the movie too, Kid Power. It's just a blatant rip-off of Turtle Power by Partners Crime in the original Turtles movie. But yeah, Kid Power we got at the end of this. Again, so 90s, so just taking so much from Turtles 1 and 2 and just injecting it here. And again, it's one of them movies you really had to be there. It probably doesn't hold up that well if you was watching it now and you've never heard of it. But at the time, I wouldn't say it's an ultimate classic kids movie, but it's one I remember very fondly and will always have a bit of a soft spot for. And if you remember this movie and you love Three Ninjas, then make sure to leave a comment below, because I'd love to hear from people who, like I say, if you just have fond memories of watching this, did you see it back in the day? Did you grow up when the Three Ninjas come out? I'd say it's no classic by any means, but it's definitely a product of the time that just has that early 90s thing going over it and going through it. And as I say, I owes so much to sort of the first two Ninja Turtles movies. But let me know if you have seen Three Ninjas and if it is a film you do remember. So I think it's got to that point now where it has got a bit of a cult following. I think there are fans of the movie out there, but I think by and large I'd say it's obviously overshadowed by the likes of Home Alone and movies like that. But let me know in the comments below if you've seen it and if you enjoy it. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.